So it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker for today. Our Veterans Day program today will focus on the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. The Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, or the Tomb of the Unknowns, is a monument dedicated to deceased U.S. service members whose remains have not been identified. It's located in Arlington National Cemetery in Virginia. The tomb honors unknown soldiers from World War I, World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. Members of this club may remember, some of you went along with us when we used to do the honor flight and take veterans down. We did visit the tomb and watch that solemn changing of the guard several years ago. To honor that on Veterans Day, our speaker is Mike Odell from Allentown, who was a member of the Honor Guard, Relief Commander, and Sentinel from 1965 to 1967. Mike was born in Jamestown, New York, and graduated from Kent State University with degrees in psychology and business. He retired from Sealed Air Corporation after 40 years in sales and marketing. He's a charter member of the Society of Honor Guard, Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. Mike will explain the history, traditions, and some secrets about the tomb and its guards. As a prequel to his presentation, I will tell you that the guards of honor at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, who are known as Sentinels, are all volunteers. They are considered to be the best of the elite 3rd U.S. Infantry Regiment, the Old Guard, headquartered in Fort Myer, Virginia. The Sentinels are highly motivated and are proud to honor all American service members who are known but to God. Please give a warm Rotary welcome to Mike Odell.
I walk a little slower than I used to, and that happens to be me on my last day. I'm laying a rose at the tomb. And for those of you who were expecting that body, I still have that body. My wife keeps it in the closet locked, and we bring it out on our anniversary. I'm going to start with this. I'm going to move away from the microphone, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? I am Sergeant Odell of the United States Army, Commander of the Relief Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. It is requested that everyone remain silent and standing during the changing of the guard. All military personnel in uniform should render the hand salute upon the command present arms. Can y'all hear me back there? Yeah. I'd love to do this. I used to get my kids when they were small, and I'd do it to them. It didn't impress them much. Let me get you to punch that one more time and see if we have another beautiful picture of me there. Oh, look at that. That's winter 1966. And I like that picture because not all of it is thousands of people watching you. Some of it is like this. Cold, lonely. I cut down on some of the stories I like to tell, but at night you're allowed to get into the guard box on the side. So one night, December 13th, 1966, I took my M14, leaned it across my arm, squatted down. I have a long coat on. You ever get that feeling there's somebody close to you? And I look down and there's a rat between my legs. I spent the rest of the time outside the box because homie don't like rats. Go ahead and click it again. Let's see what we got to talk about here. That's it. This is, I have a Sterling number. That's Sterling. My number's 52. There's been 660 of these awarded. It's the second least awarded badge next to the astronaut's badge. There's a significant amount of effort that's put into earning this. 1 out of 24 people who apply to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier get to become a Sentinel. Out of those, 1 out of 9 get to earn this badge. Now, there's nothing I'd rather do than stand up here and tell you some exciting, good things about me. So here's one. I was the 13th guy there. When I first got there, I was number 13. We rank everybody every week, every Saturday. I just didn't want to be 13. I just wanted to be number 12. And there's a plaque on the wall that says, "To the world's best," signed John Kennedy. Well, in the mid-60s, John Kennedy was something pretty special to guys my age. So I was voted 8th one Saturday. And then I moved up and I kept looking at that plaque that said "the world's best." And one day, I was number 1. I was the best of the, oh, no, thank you. But here's the thing, I'd just gotten married not too long before that. So I go home, I open the door, and I said, "Sweetheart, you're sleeping with the best of the world's best." And she said, "Oh, hell, I knew that. What do you want for lunch?" I'm still with that woman. I'm not exactly sure why. She didn't seem to appreciate me. This is what it's all about. This is what it's all about. Anybody who tells you they're have ever been to the tomb, and I run into a lot of them, ask them what their sterling number is. Because you've heard of stolen valor when it comes to lots of things. There's a lot of that goes on. I'm going to tell you a quick story. I shouldn't because I don't have all that much time, but I'm going to tell you anyhow. When I was there, I went home, and one of the girls at home said, "Did you know Gardner Bates is at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier?" Well, he's from my hometown. I'm thinking, well, I would have known that, right? I said, that's funny. Gardner Bates, if I scored 14 points in a basketball game, he scored 16. If I asked a girl out on Thursday night, he'd ask her out on Wednesday night. I hated Gardner Bates. So I can't wait till my 10th reunion. Gardner Bates doesn't show up. My 25th reunion, Gardner Bates doesn't show up. My 50th reunion, Gardner Bates shows up. My wife said, "You're not going to. After 50 years, you're not going to, are you?" "No." "Let me go get a drink." So, "Gardner, how you doing? You remember me?" "Oh, yeah, Mike, how you doing?" I said, "Fine." "What have you been doing?" "Oh, nothing much." "I heard you were in the service. You were with the 3rd Infantry." "Yeah." "What'd you do?" "I was at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier." I said, "Geez, that's funny. There were 13 guys that were Sentinels at that time. I was one. I don't remember you." I struck back. I'm feeling good. My wife says, "Aren't you ashamed of yourself? 50 years later, aren't you ashamed of yourself?" I said, "Yeah, but God darn, I feel awfully good." My biggest nemesis in high school, it took me 50 years. Not that I remember. Punch that again for me. That's it. I told you that part. Let's go. Another one. You know that because you were just told that. Punch it again. I took advanced infantry training. I went to trainee leadership school. I took AIT. I took special forces training. And as I was telling John over here, I had the feeling that if I kept taking classes, one day I'd get out of the Army and I wouldn't have to do anything. It doesn't work that way. They said we spend a lot of money, so we'd like to send you on vacation to a place called Vietnam. Which at that time, for those of you who were old enough, you didn't know how to pronounce it, Vietnam or whatever, but you just knew it was a place where guys in the mid-60s were heading off to. I got over there, I was there a short time. I tell people I won the Vietnam War because I don't remember any Vietnamese coming to New York City and taking over, so I must have done something right. But I was there a short period of time. I run into a guy. He's the meanest looking, drill sergeant, ex-drill sergeant you've ever seen. He said, you probably know me, right? Well, I didn't, but I was smart enough to say yes. He said, my name is Mike Garrett, and I have the opportunity to send you to a place called Fort Myer, Virginia. What do they do there? The drill team, United States Army Firing Party, United States Army Casket Bearers, and all that stuff. I said, I'm a field soldier. He said, no, you're an ignorant. Go there. I went there. I was in the drill team. It wasn't my finest moment because I got to catch the rifle that goes back a few people. And if you miss it, you know, you start saying Hail Mary. So I said, that's not probably what I want to be doing. So I went down and I saw the guys at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. I normally in a presentation like this would illustrate it, but I got in a little argument, or not an argument, I was playing with my grandson, and the knee that is bad is a little worse. So just assume that I can still walk that way. So I saw these guys doing that. Then I'm in the mess hall, and in comes a guy who became my best friend, Marvin Franklin Jr. And there's about this many people in the mess hall. And I hear, stand by for a tomb guard. And everybody stands up. I said, that's for me. So I went and tried out. I worked. You have to learn, memorize 78 pages full of information. Don't quiz me on it now because I might not remember all 78, but it's a significant thing. You're awake a lot of the times, you're doing crappy duty, and then you're practicing at night. It's all about him. I put that there because we never did this until about 10 or 15 years ago. We thought it was disrespectful for people to pat us on the back when what our mission is to guard the unknown soldier. Now, there's only 3. You might remember they buried a guy there from Vietnam, and DNA identified him. The process they went through to make sure these soldiers were unknown, I won't bore you with, but it was quite significant. Hit me. Oh, I put this up here. I'll tell you why. Sometimes these presentations, because I got a million little stories I like to tell. I was telling one over there a little bit ago because I think they're kind of funny and kind of unique, particularly because people hold a Sentinel at a level that maybe we don't deserve. So consequently, when you tell certain stories, it makes people realize you're just a 20-year-old grunt trying to do the best you can. But people take something good, exciting, different, and they try to make it more than it is. So this is something you may have seen. On Jeopardy the other night, the final question was, how many steps does the guard take? The answer is 21. Why? Because it's symbolic of a 21-gun salute. How long does he wait before he turns, faces the other way? The answer is 21, for the same reason. 21 for the same reason. Why does he wet his gloves? Because the rifle has a tendency to be slippery, and you don't want the rifle flying off to nowhere land. So it gives you some adhesion, which isn't all that much fun in the winter when his gloves are moistened to prevent the rifle. Does he carry his rifle on the same shoulder? No, he carries it on the outside shoulder. Tomb here, rifle here. Sign of protection, okay? Hit me again. The guard is changed every hour. During the summer, it's very often changed every half hour because there's a lot of tourists. You must be between 5'11" and 6'2", have a 31-inch waist. Now, here's the part that makes my blood boil. I don't know how many of you have ever seen this. It's been all over the place. They must commit 2 years of their life, live under the barracks, and cannot drink alcohol
on or off duty for the rest of their lives. I'm 21 years old. Do you think I'm going to sign up for something like that? Not that I swear, mind you. But I mean, that's crazy. Why do you want to take something that's special and try to make it crazy special? I think it's good enough that these young men are who they are, doing what they are, and I can tell you, I've had a cocktail or two since then. They cannot swear in public for the rest of their lives, cannot disgrace the uniform or the tomb in any way. After 2 years, the Guard is given a wreath pen, so far so good, that they wear on their lapel. There are only 400 presently worn. Now, I don't have mine because I think I still got it together, but I get a call on the way out here from my wife. She said, you left your tie and your sport coat at home. What are you going to do? I said, I hope these people are forgiving, but I'm gonna rough it. It is incumbent upon me to tell you that when I wear that jacket, I wear the Tomb Guard badge. And every once in a while, I used to bring one that was presented to me by Lyndon Johnson. Anybody remember Lyndon Johnson? Was that in the last century? Lyndon Johnson was a huge man. He came in to lay a wreath one time, and he said, who's going to be in charge of the wreath laying? I said, I am. A bunch of guys come running past him, and they run back. I hear toilets flushing. I'm just going to use a little dirty word here, folks, but I said, what are they doing, sir? He said, they're making sure the toilets are okay. He said, you know, I've been pissing on Flat Rock in Texas my whole life, and they're worried about the toilets being clean. And I said, can you say this if you're the President of the United States? Are you allowed to say that? So he stands up. Now, I'm 6'3", but with my shoes on, I'm about 6'5". But he seemed taller than me, although he wasn't. So he shakes my hand, and he said, who's going to do this wreath laying ceremony? I said, I am. He said, how many people do you suppose are out there? I said, probably 5,000. He said, what's your rank? I said, Sergeant. If you mess this up, what do you think your rank will be in the morning? I said, my friend John DePert can do this job just as well as I can. Well, anyhow, what's really exciting is you take the wreath, you hold it in front of him, and you say to the President of the United States, step off with your right foot. Now follow me. I'm telling the President this. We back up. We place the wreath. I say, okay, now back up. Face the drum. Back up. And he backs up. And they play taps and so on. So I go upstairs. He's shaking hands. I go upstairs. I look at him and I salute him. You do salute the President. And he goes, good job, Sergeant. Oh, thank you. I think that might have been right there why my knee doesn't work so well, because I thought I was going to go down. Hit me again, let's see what we got. Oh, this is another thing, and I'm going to make it brief. This was put out in 2003, a hurricane was coming through, and some news reporter supposedly came up and said, are you really going to, well, it offended guys like me. Because the answer is, I was up there during Hurricane Gloria. There's no question that you're going to be there. But apparently, you can see this, they respectfully declined the offer. No, sir, we're going to do it. To me, that's axiomatic. It's what you do. And it's been guarded continuously 24/7, 365 days a year since 1930. Hit me again. Let's see what I got. How do you get there? I told you a little bit that 23 out of 24 don't make it, 90% never earn the badge. The requirements, height requirements, I mentioned to you about the walk a little bit, the uniform, the gloves, the shoes, during the 60s we could no longer call them spit shined. They had to be called highly shined. The uniform is pretty much stripped and rebuilt every time you go on and come off. Do it again. Peace, victory, and valor are on the badge there. You see 3 characters: peace, victory, and valor. On the other side, it says, "Here rests in honored glory an American soldier known but to God." And I told you the story about the world's best. Hit me again. 31 inches. That train's left the station. 31-inch waist. We've had several dignitaries come down there. The funniest one was, most unique one is they said Roy Rogers is upstairs. Do you have any idea how tall Roy Rogers is? Like I said, I'm 6'5" of these things. Roy Rogers, if he's 5'6", now I'm young enough that I still thought Roy Rogers was my hero and on Trigger and so on. He's like a little muppet, you know? I know. And I had a hard time saying, you know, you were my hero as a kid. I'm going to tell you 2 quick stories. One is I'm going to tell you about a guy named Russell Schlock. Now, nobody ever tells you stories when it comes to Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. Guys like me stand up here and we say, we're wonderful. And boy, if you've got a kid that's tall and likes it, you ought to have him do it. What I do tell people is, A, you should go, and B, you should appreciate who these people are and what they do. Okay, so I'm relief commander. I'm the guy that gets out there and does the whole deal. Some of you who have been in the service know that they issue you socks, they issue you boots. They don't issue you tighty-whities. They issue you boxer shorts. Now you're saying, what the hell do boxer shorts have to do with the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier? Well, there was a new guy, Russell Schlock Jr. I said, did you change into your tighty-whities? Yeah. Well, he didn't. So we have a little guard hut off to the side. And if you're in trouble or if somebody is creating a ruckus, you can go call downstairs and the relief commander comes up with his .45. Beautiful May day. Russell's on post. I'm downstairs. Bell rings. Put on, strap on the .45, run upstairs. There's Russell standing in the guard. Now you don't want people to hear you, so you want to be careful that they can't read your lips. So what's the matter? It came out. What came out? It came out and it's rubbing. I said, Russell, I can guarantee you one damn thing. I ain't going down your pants to straighten it out. If it came out, you're on your own. Russell never spoke to me for several weeks after that. But here's the thing. If you have a picture of a relief commander adjusting a Sentinel, it probably get sell on eBay for a few bucks. I'm going to tell you some secrets. And if you hit me again, if you ever go to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier and you're looking for a little special attention, you can tell them you know me, but you can say, Mike Odell told me to say line 6, okay? My dedication to the sacred duty is total and wholehearted. In the responsibility bestowed upon me, never will I falter. And with dignity and perseverance, my standard will remain perfection. You have to learn to say that frontwards, backwards, and sideways, because that's the goal. Now, I think that's incredible for young men to look at that as their Bible. It helps you in later life, believe me, because you start applying that to everything else. So if you ever go to the tomb, you can say, I know a guy, badge number 52, who said to tell you line 6, and maybe you get a little extra treatment. Now I'm going to tell you a couple of quick stories because I find them appropriate. I had a guy who was a Sentinel with me, who I trained. His name was Marvin Franklin Jr. He was an American Indian. I don't know if you know this, but American Indians do not have to go into service. They don't have to go to a war zone, particularly if you're in line to become chief. His father was the president of Phillips Petroleum. He was the chief of the Iowa tribe, and Marvin was next in line. And Marvin was the handsomest guy you ever seen. He had kind of looks that when you walked into a room and you were expecting women to look at you, they didn't. They looked at Marvin. Well, Marvin was sent to Vietnam. To make a long story short, Marvin was killed in Vietnam. And I had been out of the service for a while, and I got a notification from the Army, verified dead, which I still to this day resent that they couldn't have put something on there besides that. But anyhow, I decided to visit his parents. They had a beautiful home in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. He had a beautiful office. Come to dinner, Mike. I go to dinner, we're talking. What can you tell me about Marvin? So I told her a lot of good things about Marvin. Marvin was probably my closest friend. She said, the other night I was awakened at 3 o'clock in the morning. There was noise down in the garage. We had 3 garages, and one was one where Marvin did his car, worked on his car. The lights are on, 3 o'clock in the morning. I go down there, I walk in, I look around, and I feel 2 hands on my eyes. And I said, who is that? And the voice said, it's me, Marvin. And I'm looking at this lady, and she's speaking just like I'm speaking to you. She doesn't look crazy. She said, Marvin, I thought you were dead. And she said to me, I said to Marvin, I'm your mother, you're my son. You will never be dead. Whoa, that sort of sums up to me, not only a mother's love, but it sums up to me why I was at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. I have had more people, and frankly, old vets. When I was there was a lot of World War II vets, and they were suckers. They'd cry and so on. But you've never lived until you've had a mother turn around and say, thank you for guarding my son. When Mrs. Franklin told me that story about Marvin, it was a big lesson there. Maybe mother's love, whatever it is. But it's pretty poignant, isn't it? She didn't question whether Vietnam was the right thing or the wrong thing. The only thing she knew was she was going to have to continue on after the loss of her son. Punch me again and see what we got. Oh, another picture of me. Hit it again, see if I can show you anything more of me.
That's it.
That it?
That's it.
Oh,
All you get.
damn. I got some in my wallet. You can pass it on. See? We close? Anybody got any questions? No questions. Yes, sir.
Thank you for your service, by the way.
Thank you.
And when you had the badge number 52, does that mean you are the 52nd selected Sentinel for the tomb?
You know, there's 2 or 3 things on me that don't work as well as they used to. And this is one.
When you have the badge number 52,
Yes,
does that signify that you were the 52nd
Yes.
chosen
Yes.
Sentinel in the
Yes.
history of the tomb?
yes.
Thank you.
And we always identify ourselves. We have reunions and everybody sits around and tells each other how great they are. And when you introduce yourself, you say, my name is Mike Odell. My Sterling number is 52. And there have been a lot of people, like I say, I've said to, what's your Sterling number? And when they have no idea what you're talking about, then you pretty much know that, it happens a lot. I mean, I can't tell you how many people whose nephew was a Congressional Medal of Honor winner and at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier and, you know, guarded John Kennedy and the whole thing. In fact, that was one thing they had us do is when we were getting started was guard Kennedy's grave. Now, I'm from an Irish Catholic family. I was trying to explain to my mom that the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier is far more important to Kennedy's grave. I think she died still thinking I got screwed.
You don't tell a woman whose maiden name is Mahoney that it's better to be at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier guarding somebody who has no name rather than John Kennedy. Yes, sir.
Are there female sentinels?
That is a good question. It shows progress in this world. We've had 4. One turned out to be an issue in that her husband thought it was wrong for her to be in the same proximity as, can I say horny? Is that a dirty word? With horny young men. So, but since then we've had 3. And one was a former MP. She became a Sentinel and she became a relief commander, and she was the real deal. She was pretty, she was articulate, she was smart, and she might have been one of the best soldiers I've ever seen. So to answer your question, yes, most people think we're going to resent that, but no, quite the contrary. The world is changing and they belong out there just the same as guys like myself. Now it's still, out of the 660, you know, there's 656 that are men that got the badge. Yes, sir.
Do their height, the female's height and waist size apply to them as well?
No. No. But if it did, I would hate to date one of them. Get your hands on it. No, it doesn't. In fact, some of them, I mean, you'd be surprised, and I hope this doesn't sound sexist, but some of them are so pretty and so feminine until you look in their eyes. Or like one guy who had an inspection, he said, you know, she looked in my eyes. He said, my knees were going to buckle. He said she was the real deal. And you know, like I said, the voice is the whole thing. And sometimes I thought if I hear a female's voice saying, "May I have your attention, please?" that isn't going to work, but it does. But I'll leave you with just this one thing. I never said anything to my kids about where I was. I didn't want to be like the ex-jock who says, you know, I hold the record for this or that. So I never said anything. So my daughter in 8th grade, her class went to Washington. Now, I was busy, but I probably should have realized that they were going to go to Arlington Cemetery. And they did. And they went to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. She says to her teacher, "I think my dad was here." "Yes, Patty." Of course he was. She said, "No, I think he was." So out comes the relief commander. She says, "Excuse me, Sergeant, you ever heard of a guy named Mike Odell? His sterling number is 52. He said, "Yes. Would you like to see it on the board downstairs? Because they have your thing." So he takes the whole class down there. So the teacher got Patty aside and said, "First of all, thank you very much for this being a wonderful trip. And I'm sorry for doubting you." And my daughter then said to me, "Why didn't you ever tell us?" I said, "You know, I don't know." Years passed. My son says, "I want to do something for you. You see this in here?" Okay. He says, "I want to take that and put it on a black shirt. And then I want to put one maybe on the back." I said, "Keep it low key. Make 2 or 3, keep it low key, okay?" Now my son, he's proud of his dad, and that's okay. So he says, "Incidentally, you're going to cost $400. "I don't have that kind of money," he said. So he opens the trunk of his car, and he's got 40 of these in there, right? He takes it out, and it's got this on the front. He turns it around, and it's got this big on the back. I said, "That's not what I meant by subtle." So I said to my wife, bless her heart, I said, "What am I going to do with 40 of these shirts?" She said, "Wouldn't they be good to wash the car in?" I said, "Well, first of all, nobody washes their car anymore. And secondly, I don't ever want to be caught washing a car that's got a Tomb Guard emblem on it."
Any other questions? Are we,
We're about good?
Did you ever find a dirty weapon when you changed the Sentinel?
Yes, I did.
What happened?
I hope you believe me when I tell you this, but I was a by the numbers kind of guy. And everything, I mean, if a guy had a little thread hanging here, you burned it off. And and it was intense. In the summer, you'd come down, you'd take off your hat, literally water would drop down. And you couldn't put on sunglasses early on because, you didn't want to have them on in the morning. Well, one thing you didn't have was a dirty weapon. So I take the weapon, butt plate comes up, I look at it, everything's fine. I turn it, and I go like this on the bayonet. I'm ashamed, but the bayonet was dirty. So rather than saying to him, next time, whatever, I took the bayonet off and threw it. I threw it into the bushes and said to the civilian guard, get him another bayonet. So he goes down and gets him another bayonet. Now I had a couple guys downstairs say, that's the way about it. You need to teach that new man something. I don't think that poor kid was ever the same after that. But yeah, you get a little carried away with rules are rules. You don't go up there in front of people and not be squared away. It kind of comes a little bit with the territory, but yeah, I've done that. It's better than adjusting a guy in his underwear, I guess. Sometimes I tell that story, and I'm always wondering if I'm going to get booze. I told these guys a story. I got to just tell you one more, okay? When I was in high school, there was this guy. Bear with me, because you heard this, but I'll make it quick. My counselor said to me, you ought to think about factory work because you're the most obstinate, ill-mannered human being I've ever seen, and I don't think you're smart enough to come in out of the rain. Now, luckily, I was at that point in my life I didn't care what he said. A counselor, he ought to be a little bit more of a cheerleader. I'm at the tomb, I'm walking up and down, I look, he was in the Naval Reserve. The guy's a commander, he's got scrambled eggs out there. Jesus, that's Mr. Arnold. So I go downstairs, put down the weapon, and now I'm getting up there as fast as I can, because I want to see him. So I salute him. I said, Mr. Arnold? Excuse me, Commander Arnold? Yes. I'm Mike Odell from Jamestown High School. Mike, how are you? Turns to the people and said, this was the smartest kid. I knew he was destined for great things. Mike, like that. There's a little satisfaction. I'll hang around for a minute. Anybody got any questions or comments? Let me know, okay? Thanks for your time. I appreciate it.